Okay, gonna make an effort to do a Unreal World 3.30 how-to for just starting out. In the beginning, you'll create a character. I have some saved characters already, but we're going to go ahead and create a new character. Selecting quick and easy will make you not have to select so many options as you generate the character, and it will automatically start you right at the edge of a town to get you going. For custom, it allows you to pick your starting scenarios and things like that, so you're not dropped outside of a town, as well as picking some other options. Both the custom easy and custom too easy allow you to take points away in the skill section from things you don't want and add extra points into things you do want, so it's kind of the overpowered way of building your characters. Because I want to pick this scenario, I'm going to go ahead and do custom. For the video, I want to take you through the tutorial as much as I can, as far as we can get through the game course. And so quick and easy would work, but hopefully I can show you some other things, and I'm going to use the custom. You give your character a name. Now here you pick from which tribe you want him to belong to, which does lend toward their body size, their skill sets, their physical attributes. If you hit F1 on any of these, it will show you the specifics of that one, and you can look at them all. I'm just going to pick one. We'll go ahead and let him be a man. This guy looks like a great starter, so we'll take him. I don't want to be, well, let's go ahead and start in spring, which will still be pretty cold with the new engine, and that should allow us to see some weather as well. I'll go ahead and take the default on his skill set. Here you can re-roll, and it will continue to cycle through the different randomly generated, I'm guessing, attributes there, so you can find the one you want, or just take one and go. On this screen, it will tell you these are the rituals that you start with. These sometimes give you a nice feeling inside that you're giving to the gods and playing in the spirit world. You don't have to, so it's kind of a preference thing whether you use it or not. Some of them do come in handy. There are some that help you to stop bleeding and things like that that can be valuable in the game. We'll hit escape to continue. Here it allows me to place 5 points into different skills, and you do this to cater to the type of character you think you want to play in the role you're going to play. Let's see, this guy, I'm going to go ahead and just give him one here. We'll give him, I like to give trapping. I like to have good cooking. Trapping is normally the way my characters end up going, so normally I'll do that and throw some weapon skill in there, depending on what I hope I might roll in the when it gives me a weapon. 2 more points to spend. It's never a bad idea to throw one into fishing. And cooking, if you have good cooking, it does make your food more nutritious and last longer. Those skills do go up faster because you do tend to cook a lot in the game. We're happy with that, and we'll go. It's now going to use a procedure to generate a unique world because of the recording software I have running. Okay, here's the world as it was generated. Now I can select to have it regenerate me a new world if I don't like the way this one looks. You can hit C to see where the cultures are. Here's the map that shows you where every culture is. I'm kind of off here in the middle area between the Owl tribe and the Como tribe. Oh, my dog is barking in alarm. I don't think I have any bears. Could be a night squirrel. Pause for a second. Sorry about that. Okay, so as I said, it shows me this little red dot or red square is kind of the area that it's going to place me in, and you can also regenerate your start location by hitting R, which will jump this little guy around. I'll hit R a couple of times. So you jumped over there, you jumped up here. Let's get something. Let's go ahead and take this one here that's by the owl tribe, because the tribe will help us along in a way you'll see when we get to the game course. So we're going to enter and play this world with E, or you can click it with the mouse. Okay, here are the different scenarios that you can start with. Each has its advantages and disadvantages. Well, not all of them have disadvantages, I guess. The Unreal world just drops you in the middle of the wilderness somewhere, with the stuff that it decides to give you depending on the tribe that you picked. The village is what you'll get if you pick the easy option in the configuration. It'll automatically pick this scenario for you. Runaway slave will have you outside of a camp or outside of a building, and you have to actually escape from guys who will want to kill you. Unfortunate hunting trip, you're with someone, they get killed, the animal's still probably around. So you can read all of these. The one that I wanted to pick from this list was Not All Who Wander, and what that is, because that will give me it's a tragic tale of what happened, but it will end me up with some type of an animal, and that will help us along later on. So we're going to pick that. Here's a description of the scenario, verifying that that's the start we want to go with. I'm going to say yes. Okay. Now, the Unreal world, if you hit escape here, it just starts you off, and you're ready to go with the scenario that you picked. If you select this Living in the Wild, this is the tutorial. This is what I'm going to try to get through as much as I can for all the people out there just getting started. Once you've completed this section, you can do this one, because this has some more obscure little task things you can do. A lot of which get off into realms like using saunas and things like that aren't necessarily tutorial based things like you find in here. So we're going to pick A. And again, because of this recording software, this is a here's some storyline, as well as letting you know there is an encyclopedia built into the game that has details about the types of weapons and the animals, and there's a lot of detail and stuff that you can go in there and read to get more depth into the game. Here it's again going through my scenario, setting the stage for me, telling me how I grew up and what happened and how I wound up in the position that I'm in after I hit the space bar. Okay, now the game course, where we selected A there, the tutorial, it will start to try to walk us through the basics of the game so that we can understand some of the keys and how the functions work to allow us to decide how we want to survive. It'll pop up every time there's a new task for us. It'll pop up when we complete a task. It'll pop up and let us know that we've completed it, and then pop again with the new task. So our first task is to learn to find water and how to drink, which is essential because within 3 days you'll die if you don't find water. So we'll go ahead and see that. We'll hit escape, and here we are on the map in front of the carnage that occurred, and we'll see, what did we get? Oh, we got a cow. Okay. Now you hit I. The letter I with no menus open brings up your inventory. Here you can only browse things mostly. And so we have a rope. Because we started with an animal, it automatically starts us with a rope to leash that animal. And I was just verifying that our cow is already on the leash because it says right there, cow leash. So now the cow will go wherever we go because we have it tied up. Now here we have this poor individual that apparently his house burned down. That's right, that's what happened here. And he's holding a bunch of stuff. All this stuff we probably need in the game. I don't really need it for the tutorial, so I'm going to get to show you a really neat feature that was just added. Because I do want this stuff, or you will need to be able to find stuff later on. So I'm going to leave this stuff here. But what I'm going to do is you can look at the world map by hitting the F6 key, and that'll show me where I am in the world. And I'm that little red dot in the white culture, and I can turn the culture off, and then I'm just a red dot in the middle of nowhere. Turn the C back on for culture. Now, a feature that's been added now is markers that you can add and configure and make all by yourself and put them wherever you want and be able to find things in the world. So by hitting A, it brings up this menu. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. Well, hit enter. I hit it too many times. Alright, I'm struggling with my enter key here. Oh, I think it has to do with this recording software. Let's see. Okay, it is typing. It's just probably the way the screen refreshes is wiping it out for me. But I'm going to just type body here so that I know I left this guy's body here. I'm going to hit enter because then it puts it on the second line, and then I'm going to hit escape. And it's going to put a marker right there in the world. So I'm going to hit escape again, and I'm right back here. So now, on this spot in the world, from the world map, I can find right where I left this guy. So now the first thing I want to do is go find water. I'm going to take my cow, and now water in the winter months is normally frozen, unless you're by the coast. But there is water literally everywhere in Unreal World. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and zoom out. See, right now this is basically the local map where I can see all the trees and a single fire burning. But there's a map called the travel map by hitting enter that shows you a much larger view of your world around you. As you can see, the red X under my feet is the marker that we placed that said that guy is right here. So now I'm going to just, by using the arrow keys, start walking in a direction, because right now, there we go. You'll find high zones where you can start to see things. So I'm going to step up onto these rocks that are right here, and that should give me a really good view of what's around me. And if you turn with the arrow keys, you can turn around and see what's around you. And now, down in this direction, you see that flat area, that's a marsh. Now there'll be water there. Here in the forest, there's not usually water unless you actually see a lake. Now I do see a large ice area over here, which is going to be definitely river or lakes. And so first thing we need to do is go get some water. So just by using my arrow keys, I'm going to get over to close to this area, hit enter to zoom in, and it's enter to zoom in, enter to zoom out for helps you do that. So first let's go find us some water, and here we are at the coast of a river or a lake or something. I didn't really notice as I zoomed in. Now in order to get a drink, we're gonna have to dig a hole in the ice. If you hit the Q key, it'll ask you, since there's no water around us, but there is frozen water in front of us or next to us, the game now asks you, do you want to make a hole in the ice? So you say yes, and it says, okay, which direction do you want to cut that hole? And so I'll go ahead and pick number 9 on my pad, and that'll put the hole basically right there where that cursor highlighted. Okay, it's going to confirm that I'm going to use some weapon that I have in my hand in order to cut the ice, and if it's a hand axe, which it looks like it is, fortunately that'll work better than if it were a knife or something like that. The space bar to continue, and he's going to make a hole in the ice. Ice was pretty thick. Okay, now that the hole is there, I can press the Q key again, and it's going to ask me if I want to drink from the natural source. I'm going to say yes. I drink, and that completes that course. So now you know basically how to find water and how to get it. So it confirms we've learned that task. Hit escape, it'll bring up the next one. The next task is to take a closer look, which is the enter key on the for zooming in and out from one map to the other map. That's what the closer look task is really about, because sometimes when you start in the summer, you can be on the overland, the higher map, and you can see water there, and you can drink right from that source, and so you wouldn't necessarily have zoomed in and out. And so it's telling us we need to get a closer look. So it should tell us right away we've already done this task, and that's what it does. We've completed that already. Okay, the next task is to pick something up. So to pick things up, generally the keys, if you're standing directly on the object, is comma, or you can use the lowercase g. I generally use comma. For picking something up that's on a tile next to you, one of the tiles immediately, adjacent to your tile that you can see, you can use the semicolon or the capital G. And so this task is going to be to find something and pick it up. And there's a lot of things generally in the Unreal world to pick up. There's a rock right here. It tells us we have a rock. I can hit comma and pick it up. And it's going to tell us, okay, we've completed that task. And the next task is to make a fire, which is, again, a pretty important skill to have, because it can get really cold in the Unreal world. Now, in order to make a fire, we can just search around depending on where we have some wood, or we can just make our own wood. We have a spruce tree right here. It's a full-size tree, so if I cut it down, it's going to make one big log. Unlike these smaller trees, all young trees will make slender trunks instead of logs. Now, new to the Unreal world now, you can't start a fire with just slender trunks or just tree trunks. You now need small pieces of wood to make it more realistic and make it better. So now what you do is you go Alt-M to get to the Timbercraft menu, and this has changed. Pulling branches and things off of trees used to be on a survival skill, which doesn't exist in the game anymore. The pieces from survival were spread out to more appropriate areas. And so pulling the branches and things off, you can do that with a tool or without. So no matter how bad off you are, you can always pull off the small pieces of a tree and build a fire. That was Alt-M and then T. And it'll ask me, okay, which direction is the tree that it wants me that I want to pull stuff off, and I'll point to that tree over there, and I have everything I need, and it pulls them off, and it makes a small pile of brush right here at my feet. Now let's say I want to cut this tree down. Actually, that's a task coming up. I'll go ahead and just do this. Alt-M, I went back to Timbercraft, Alt-M, and then T. I'm going to pull a little bit more off of this tree. Then I'll back up one space, and my object is to build a fire. Fire used to be on the survival skill. Fire now has its own key all by itself. All you do is, standing next to the item, hit the F key for fire, point in the direction of what you want to light on fire, and it will try. And now we've completed that task, successfully making a fire. Okay, cooking is pretty important. There's lots of ways to do it. There's lots of depth to if you get into vegetables, and you can do soups, and you can do teas, and you can do all kinds of things, as well as just meat cooking by smoking and salting and drying and roasting. So it's telling us, okay, we need to cook something, and so out of the goodness of the game's heart, since we don't necessarily have anything yet, they're going to gift us a fish to do this task. So I'm going to hit escape. It's going to say, ooh, look, an event happened. I hit space, and it gave me a fish. So now my task is to cook this fish. Since I have a fire right here, I'll press Alt and C to get to the cooking menu. I will press R to roast the meat, and then I will select that raw fish, and it tells me I have all the pieces I need. I'm going to go ahead and hit escape, though. I'm not going to do that, and instead I'm going to also show you that you can go to the skills menu by hitting S, then go down to cooking, and it'll show you all of the things that are associated with the skill of cooking. It'll show you all the tasks that you can do. The same is true with timber work and all of the other skills. You can pick the skill, and it will show you all the tasks that are possible from it if you don't necessarily remember the keys right away, which you won't. So I'm going to roast this fish, and now I'm going to let it go. Okay. It's going to tell us, hey, congratulations, we're cooking a fish. It's going to warn us that roasting is the least preservable way to cook food, or to cook your meats, at least. If you can get into drying or smoking, those methods, your food will last a lot longer. If you're roasting all the time, you're either going to be roasting all the time, or you're going to be spoiling a lot of food. Excuse me. So we're going to hit escape from cookery, and now it's going to say, okay, now wants us to do some timber work. Here's where it's going to want us to chop down a tree. And let's see, so we'll go right around this fish, and we'll cut down this little tree that I was going to target a minute ago. First, let me go ahead and Alt M to get to let me go the other way. We'll go skills, and we'll go timbercraft, and then I'm going to do T. I'm going to pull a little bit more off of this tree before I cut it down, and I'm going to push that wood into the fire because I want to keep that fire going for a little while. If you hit P, it'll ask you, okay, where would you like to push the items that I'm standing on? I'll tell it I want to push it in the direction of 9. And it's going to say, okay, there's this many things. How many do you want to push over there? You can hit enter, and it will select them all, or you can hit space, and it'll bring up a text window where you can type in the number that you want to push over there. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and we're going to push them all over there into the fire. Okay, now let's cut down this tree. You can do that with Alt M, which is the shortcut to get to the timbercraft menu, or you can do that with S and the skills menu, go to timbercraft, and fell a tree. If you're facing a tree, it'll automatically start chopping down that tree, or trying to. Oh. Okay, it's going to tell us wood is good, and congratulations, you cut down a tree. Next, we have, okay, the do-it-yourself task, which is, okay, this is to expose us to the fact that we can actually craft things in the game. And fortunately, I just got these pieces of, actually these slender trunks, I can use one of those to craft something for myself. So to craft, you do Shift and M, and that is to bring up the make menu. So Shift and M, and now individual items are available under their individual skills, but the make menu is the easiest way to get to most of the craftable stuff, and that's Shift M. And since I have these trunks, I'm going to pick lumber. Actually, I'm not going to pick lumber. I'm going to pick weapons. And the reason I'm doing this is one of my favorite things early on in the game, if I'm fortunate enough to have a hand axe, things that I make to trade to town people if I run into them, or to other people, is clubs. Most of the other things, bowls and things that were always used in the past, have kind of been devalued, and they're tied to skills. So let me hit escape here for a second. They're tied to skills so that, like, my carpentry affects how good of arrows I can make. So I can make a ton of arrows before anybody's going to want the quality of arrows that I produce. The club uses the common skill, which is kind of a nebulous area, but it's 50%. And so it gives you a really good chance to make quality product even very early in the game. So I'm going to do what was it? Shift make, Shift M for make. I'm going to go to weapons. I'm going to make a club. And a hawk just flew by. Okay, there, and that completes the do-it-yourself. I've been to now the crafting menu, and it says, okay, now you know how to get there to be able to make stuff for yourself. And you can make clothes, you can make, there's a lot of things on the menu. Take your time to look through it and see what it is that you can build for yourself. Our next task is going to be fishing. Now here's another great thing about the game course. In addition to the fish that it gives you right at the beginning, which is really nice, the game course gives you certain things to help you, since it is for newer players really to get going. And it's going to say, okay, now you need to fish. Now in the Unreal world, you can fish with a lot of things. You can fish with a rock, you can fish with a pole, you can fish with a sharpened piece of wood, which is a staff, or a javelin. I mean, you can splash around in the water with a lot of things to try to fish. Fishing pole is the best. Nets I've never really used that much, but apparently they're very good if you know how to use them. But the game course will give us now a fishing pole, similar to the way that it gifted us a fish. I'm going to hit escape here, and something has happened. Oh, we got a fishing rod, and we appreciate that. I'm going to go over here and check my fish. Okay, my pike is still being roasted, and I can tell that just by stepping on it. Now, if I try to pick it up with the comma or the lowercase g, since it's cooking and it tells us that it's preparing, it should tell us how long it'll be before we can pick it up, how long before it's actually going to be done. So we know if we were doing things, we don't know how much time has really passed. We still have an hour. So that gives us about enough time. How much longer is my fire going to burn? And now another neat feature, or actually I'm going to go in a couple of features that have been added in Unreal World. Fires now, you can examine them. You examine things with the F3 key, which will be later in the tutorial, I think. So you hit F3, it brings up a cursor, you use your arrows to move around, hit enter, and it'll give you a description. Okay, this fire is going to burn out in a half an hour. That's brand new for us to be able to determine how long fires were going to actually burn. Another great feature is, since my fish is going to take an hour, the fire is going to burn out beforehand. It used to be a really big problem if you walked away and left your stuff cooking, even though the fires had gone out, that your stuff would burn and be spoiled. And a lot of people were really saddened, I'm sure a lot in the game with that. So now, if the fire burns out, your food will no longer burn and spoil as rapidly. So, or maybe even at all, but definitely as rapidly. So even though the fish isn't going to be done for an hour, the fire is going to go out in half an hour, so the fish is safe there. The reason I went into that long explanation is because fishing normally takes about 2 hours to get a result. If you don't get a result within 2 hours, generally I'll cancel the task and I'll fish again. In order to complete the fishing task, you have to fish until it actually says you didn't catch anything. So I wanted to make sure that our fish wasn't going to burn away before the fishing task would be complete. So as we can see, the hole in the ice has frozen again. I'm going to hit F3 to examine, and I'm going to move my cursor over there, and I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to say, oh, okay, so the hole in the ice has frozen over again. So I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to walk over there, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Q, because that's an easy way to get through the ice. Actually, I'm going to say no there. There's a second way to cut through the ice. If you go Alt and F, which gets us to the fishing menu, you can cut a hole in the ice, or you can go to Skills and Fishing, and it'll ask us and will allow us to make a hole in the ice. And it was placed here mainly because when you're fishing a lot, you end up cutting a lot of holes in the ice. So it made a lot of sense. Plus, to put it on drink was a really good. So I'm going to go ahead and make a hole in the ice from the fishing menu. I am going to take a drink. I don't really need a drink. I'm going to take a drink anyway. And now I'm going to fish. Now you can fish with either the fishing from the skill menu, and it'll ask you, how do you want to fish? You want to fish with a net, you want to fish actively, which is with a pole or a rock or something else, retrieve a net that's already out, or make a hole in the ice. We're going to actively fish. It's going to say, okay, which of these items would you like to use to fish with? We're going to, because the game gave it to us, use a fishing rod. Hit enter. And then when the clock runs slow like that, generally now in the game it means there's animals about. There's something around, because the game is tracking all things that are happening around you. And it's probably that hawk who's just flying into my view. Now, since he's flying into my view, it's giving me the opportunity to stop what I'm doing so that I can take action against the animal, or if it was hostile, if it was a bear coming at me, to allow me to defend myself. Since it's a hawk, I'm not really worried, so I'm going to say no, don't cancel my task. Let's finish fishing, and we'll finish off the fishing task. And as I said, sometimes it can take a long time to run. That's why I wanted to make sure the fish wouldn't burn on the fire. So there, we've completed the fishing task, and we'll hit escape. Okay, our next task is that it wants us to build a shelter in the woods. And that's because when it rains, you can't sleep out in the open. When it snows, I think you can, as long as you're warm enough, but now with the new thermal checks from the body temperature, you get to be cold pretty fast, and you wake up shivering, and you can't sleep. You really need shelter now, a lot more than you did in just the previous version. It's much more realistic. So I'm going to hit escape here, and we're going to go pick up our fish, which hopefully is still good. It's roasted, it's not spoiled, and we're going to go ahead and pick that up with comma. And now I'm going to look at the food that I have, because my character is a little bit hungry. Rye breads last a fair amount of time. Salted meats will last a really long time, so I would want to eat those last. Anything roasted, generally you want to eat it first, because that will spoil first. And he started with a lynx cut, so I'm going to go ahead and chomp that down. Then I'm going to eat some of this fish. Alright, and now we're basically ready to go. Our next task was to build a shelter. Okay, shelter building now is in the building menu under shelter, or Alt and B for the shortcut to the building menu and shelter. And if we select shelter, it'll tell us, oh, actually first it'll ask us, okay, where do you want to put it? And I'm just going to pick a direction so that it brings up the list of what we need for it. Okay, so what we need for a shelter is 3 slender trunks and 20 spruce twigs, along with some sort of a cutting tool. Now, we still have 3 slender trunks left over right here from the tree we cut down, so we'll use those. And we need spruce twigs, which I believe these are spruce trees right here. So to get the twigs, we'll use the method to pull the pieces off, which is Alt-M for shortcut to the Timbercraft menu, and T to pull the twigs, pull or cut branches and twigs. And we need 20, so we probably are going to need to do this twice. So I'm going to just hit, now since I want to do the same task again and pull those off, I can just hit the R key for repeat, and it'll say, okay, in which direction. I'm going to do that. And that allows you to do multiple iterations of the same thing just by hitting R. Okay. Now I have all the things that I need to build a shelter. Where would I like to build the shelter? I think I kind of like the spot right where the cow is. Okay, so I'm going to just stand on the slender trunks. I'm standing next to the twigs, so it'll use both because it'll allow me to use both from the ground. I'm going to do Alt Build or Alt B, excuse me. Select shelter. Pick the direction. It now says, okay, I see all the items I need close by. If you have things in your hand, it doesn't always use the ones in your hand if you want it to, so you got to kind of watch that sometimes. If you have multiple boards laying around, for example, later on in the game, and you go to build something, it'll use boards from wherever it decides to. So I'm going to hit space, and we're going to go ahead and build our shelter. And this kind of rudimentary shelter is great for dropping in different places that you go visit if you have trap lines and other things later on in the game. Plus it gives you a place where you can be dry and build a fire and be relatively warm versus just being out in the cold. Okay, the next task is to basically show us that there's the ritual world, and so it's going to ask us to perform one of the rituals that were given to us at the beginning of the game. We're going to hit escape and see which rituals we had. Origin of fire and favorableness of a trap. Okay, I don't have a trap at the moment, or do I? Let me check my inventory. Inventory. Okay, and I do have a cord, so I'm going to whip up a trap really quick so that we can do that incantation. What I'm going to do is just make a loop snare, and so you go to the make menu and then the trapping section, or you could do it from the trapping skill, I believe. Let me verify that. Skill, trapping. Okay, yes, and we want to make a loop snare, and it's going to tell us, okay, we need some piece of tying equipment, which is a cord, which is a rope, which is actually I guess it's a cord and a rope. So I'm going to select this cord right here. We're going to fabricate that into a loop snare, and now I need to, in order to do the ritual, the trap has to be on the ground, so I'm going to go ahead and set the trap. You do that with the A key to apply an item, so similar to one way to use the fishing rod, you do apply A, select the loop snare. It's going to ask me, okay, where do you want to put it? I'm going to push it into the front, and there's the loop snare set on the ground. It's not baited, so it's just a loop snare on the ground. But now I can do F4 and select favorableness of trap. Ooh, that's hard to say. I don't know why. And it's going to say, okay, where's the trap you want me to do an incantation on or bless? And I'm going to point at that trap.
Tutuimmat olesta lennettiin tuomalta vähemmän, lennettiin kuhinkalosta, mennäsin kuhinkalohon, niin kuhinkalon perästä, niin kuhinkalon perään.
And now a lot of birds are going to wind up in this trap. That's the plan. And it's going to say, oh, by the way, you also successfully performed an incantation. Okay, next is tracking. Okay, tracking in the game has also been updated. And something has happened, and what has happened, I'll show you in just 1 second, is that that task really boosts your tracking skill. You see how there's the lighter yellow part where it's grown over the slightly darker yellow part to the left. All of the bright yellow is how much it's grown over when I started the character. So that's all bonus right now to complete this task. So it increased my tracking skill so that I can complete this task. And the task is to find tracks. Now, as I started to say, in the game, tracks have been really updated in that they'll perform differently on the snow. They now will point for the animal. They'll actually point in the direction that the animal was going, so you don't have to stop every track you see and see which direction it's going. You can actually now visibly see from the tracks which direction the animals were heading. Now I see directly in front of me some small tracks that I'm going to go ahead and use the skill on those. And now you use the tracking skill with Alt and T. And it's going to tell me I completed the task because I was standing on tracks, but and now it's going to make us go let us know. Okay, the next thing we have to do is find an animal. We have to find something in order to complete the next task. What I was going to say is here we can see that. Let me go back. Alt and T to track. We notice there are hours old goshawk tracks here heading north. So the hawk was walking along here, and there's his tracks going along, then coming along, and then right about here is where he probably took off and flew by us when it tried to interrupt us. Let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and light a fire here. Alt M and T to cut, and R to repeat. And our goshawk friend is back. Oh yeah, I see him down there at the bottom. No, I don't care about him at the moment. And back up, and I'm going to go ahead and start this fire. So I'm going to do F and point in the direction of the wood on the ground. That didn't work, so I'm going to do F and point toward the wood on the ground. And we have a fire. Okay, hopefully we can warm up a little bit. Okay, now technically had I zoomed out of this map and walked somewhere and come back, and that hawk would have come over, that may have cleared that task for us. But we won't worry about that too much right now. I think we will go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and I'm going to zoom out, and we're going to go walk around a little bit and see if we can't just spy something and clear that task quickly. Even though I'm cold, and I'm starting to get worried about that because the temperature is dropping, as you can see right up here. Anything below this white line is where it's starting to get uncomfortable as far as the cold weather goes. I'm gonna try. Where's my hut? There's my hut. Okay. When I step onto the tile that right now I'm below this shelter by 1 square. When I step on it, it should actually zoom me in right to where I zoomed out of the map. And that's an option in the game. You can set it to do that or not do that. A lot of people prefer that. That way you wind up in the same spot next to your shelter all the time. Oh, no, for shelter it's just telling me that it's here. Okay, which is good. And the reason that I was kind of going into that is I'm going to go ahead and do tracking here on this map, and it should tell me, hopefully, that there's a goshawk here. And then I'll show you, let's see, Alt-T to track. It says, okay, I looked around for a little while, and I see some goshawk tracks on this spot. Now, what we might be able to do is, if he's still on the spot, wander back and forth across it a couple of times and have it tell us, hey, there's a hawk. No such luck. Alright, and I am now bitterly cold, which, as I said, we need to pay attention now to the cold in the game, because it will kill you quickly. I'm going to go ahead and cut down this big tree right here. And that was Alt-M and F to fell that tree. And actually I'm going to stop it right before it finishes. And there's our hawk buddy. And the reason I stopped it beforehand is because I still need the kindling. So I'm going to go ahead and Alt-M and T and pull it off the same tree. That way it'll be right here, and I won't have to go find another tree and do that task again. And I'm going to do R to repeat that. And now, one of the amazing things about Unreal World is the game knows how far I cut that tree. So you'll notice real quickly, when I go to start chopping it down again, the progress bar will be almost done, because that's where I stopped it. So the game tracks how close that tree is to falling down. We'll go Alt-M and fell, and go. And now the reason I cut that big tree, I thought I was... The reason I cut the big tree is because I'm numbingly cold now, and so if we don't do something pretty quick, we could be ending the tutorial early. So I'm going to go ahead and move the tree trunk and the branch over to here in front of my shelter. I'm going to hit M to stop moving them. And it's M to move them. Standing on an object, hitting M, it'll ask you what do you want to move that you're standing on. And M again to stop moving them. That's the way you can move excessively heavy loads that you can't lift yourself. And so I'm going to start my fire. I'm going to do F and point down. And thank goodness a fire has started, and we will live. I'm going to go ahead and eat now, which will consume a little time, which will help with us warming up. Because with the faster, with the way the body checks have been upgraded in the game, and now there's more depending on game time. Of course, it's every minute of game time in the character's life, it checks their body temperature and if they're warming up, cooling down, or what. And so I'm going to go ahead and just hit. Now you can pass time in the game, which I'm going to do right now, because I don't think I'm going to check my inventory. I don't think I have a cup or anything like that. Otherwise I would probably, oh, it's winter, I guess my cow's probably not going to give me milk anyway. I was going to do that to pass some time. I do need to get a drink, but I'm still bitterly cold, so I'm going to wait. The way to pass time in the game is you can depress the period, which will pass one turn, and I don't know how much time that is. It's not much at all. Or you can hit the hash, or the dash key, or the minus key, and it will actually scroll time, and you'll get a counter telling you how much time you've passed. To get out of that, you hit escape, to stop passing time. So I'm going to go ahead and just pass some time real quick to get out of bitter coldness. Alright, so within 40 minutes, let's see, and that's because we'll hit F3 and we'll look at this fire, and now we lit a tree trunk on fire, so the fire is pretty warm, and it'll burn until late afternoon, and since it's late evening right now, that's afternoon tomorrow. So I think I feel comfortable now to go ahead and go over here and we'll get a drink. And we'll do that with Q. It says that there's no water around, but it sees the ice. Of course, I already said that. And yes, do we want to make a hole? Now it will automatically make a hole in the spot where I was, I believe, because it'll look for the weakest point versus asking me which direction. So I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to take my drink. Alright, and I'm going to pause for a minute, have him take a rest, and then we'll see if we can't get the next step, because finding the animals, and then the next one is to kill something. Those are the ones where it kind of slows you down here in this process. Although I guess I could always kill my cow. So I will pause and I'll resume shortly. Okay, actually I didn't do anything. I just went away and thought about a bunch of stuff that I shouldn't do instead of cutting away and not showing. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and, since he is weary and it's late evening right now, I'm going to go ahead and sleep. The way you sleep is with Shift and Z, and we'll go to sleep. And now there is a setting, because he immediately went to sleep there when I hit Shift Z, which I normally turn off, because oftentimes I'll go to hit Shift X in combat, which is exchange which weapon is in which hand, and I've hit Shift Z before and gone to sleep in the middle of a fight, and that didn't end well. So normally I turn that option off and set it to where if I hit Shift Z, it'll ask you, do you want to go to sleep? But I haven't changed that option in the game yet. Okay, and it woke me up because I think I saw something move in the distance. Hopefully it wasn't my cow. Let's see, I'm lively now. It's after midnight. I'm going to go ahead and sleep again. You can sleep all the way until you're, I believe it's vigorous. So I'm going to hit Shift Z again. And that's because, you know, I didn't immediately see anything right around me, or something attacking my cow, which would probably be the case if it were a predator that had come around. Plus the cow would be alerting in some fashion normally. Okay, so now we're awake, and thought of several things. So first off, I want to go see if I can find an animal. I don't really want to drag the cow around, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand next to this tree with my cow, and I'm going to hit A, which is the apply menu, and generally it shows you all your tools, or everything that's categorized as a tool. I'm going to select the cow on the rope with the enter key. And it's going to ask me, what do I want to do? Do I want to untie the cow, or do I want to tie the cow to a tree? And I'm going to select tie the cow to a tree. It's going to ask me, okay, which tree? I'm going to go ahead and hit left for the tree that I'm standing next to. And now you see the little rope thing now is around the bottom of the tree. The cow is now tied to the tree. So now I can leave, and the cow will still be here by my shelter. Now it is the Unreal world, and things do happen, so theoretically if I leave him here, something, even though I haven't seen tracks of anything, a pack of wolves or a bear or lynx or something like that could decide to, or glutton could decide to come by and attack my cow. But for now, I wanted to show you that you can do that. You can tie them up and leave the animal, as well as build fencing and corrals and stuff like that in the game. But I wanted to be sure to show you that. I'm going to go ahead and try to drink, so I'm going to hit Q, and yes, we're going to make a hole in the ice. It's going to use my old spot. I'm going to take Q, and I'm going to go ahead and eat some pike. And now I'm right here at the water's edge, so I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. Generally, if it detects the water, it'll tell you have to move away from the water. If the water is excessively frozen, I think sometimes it'll let you still zoom even though you're right close by. I'm going to go over here a little bit where I hadn't cut a hole. No, okay, it's still going to tell me I need to move back a little bit. And that's a fix, because sometimes when you go zooming out and zooming in, sometimes it would misplace you in your spot, and so you could wind up zooming out at the edge and then zooming back in, and you're out in the middle of the ice somewhere, and you fall through and you die, and it's just bad. So they've made some upgrades, some changes in this version to kind of protect from the zooming sort of bugs that we used to see. Oh, and as we see, I tied the cow here, and I could have used her tracks because she made tracks right here in the ice or in the snow that I could have also used, I guess, to complete that task. But right now, let's go ahead and try to find an animal. So what I'm going to do is kind of move around on the travel map, and I'm going to select high zones so that I can get a good broad view. There's our X from where our poor dead companion is, and I'm going to hit Control and minus to zoom out, or you can just hit Control 0 and it'll toggle from all the way zoomed in to all the way zoomed out. I'm generally more a user of Control 0, so if you see it snap back and forth, that's because that's the way I'm comfortable. I like to get the widest view I can of the area I'm looking at. Okay, I didn't really see anything in that area. Let's go over here to these rocks. And often we can get lucky and just stumble across a squirrel or something like that, and that would complete the task for us. And you just kind of got to remember which direction you came from. I see that I'm numbingly cold again, which means I need to start a fire here pretty quick. We'll get up on these rocks and take a quick look before. Uh-oh, I'm freezing now. All right, so fortunately, looking won't take any turns. Turning will consume some turns, so I'm continuing to lose body temperature right now, and I'm freezing. Alright, we need a fire, and we need it now. So I'm going to duck into these trees right here, because on this rock, if I zoomed in, there would be probably nothing but rock around me and rock ground. So let's get into these trees and hit enter to zoom in. And I'll do a quick turn just to see if there is a slender trunk right over there, which will burn a little bit longer and a little hotter. So I'm going to go ahead and make my way over to that guy. And now I'm going to pull kindling off this big one next to it. Alt M and T. And I am okay. So again, here's the new harshness of the game. So they brought for quite a while the game was pretty easy to survive once you knew some tricks. I'm freezing now and shivering all over. It's asking me, do I want to cancel my task, which I can't cancel, of course, because I need to get the wood off of this tree, and it'll progress down from here, where I will start to become delirious and things. So let's hope we can get a fire going here, or before our tutorial ends. Oh, and I canceled the task. See, I am delirious. All right, I'm gonna try again. Alt M and T. And no, don't abort the task. No, don't abort the task. No, don't abort the task. All right, I'm gonna take one step back, and hopefully we can light a fire. So we do F and point to the wood, and I'm confused. No, don't abort. And I didn't succeed. Alright, start a fire with F. Okay, and as you see, I'm becoming drowsy and confused in the cold. I can barely stay conscious, remain conscious. There it is. We're going to continue to try to light this fire. If we don't get it, we're freezing to death now. So this might be just about over. No fire. Fire right there. No. Ah, and we have a fire. Now, we can hope that it's enough. But what I'm actually going to do is move to this spot next to the fire. And I'm going to go ahead and eat. I'm going to use a little time here. Hopefully this fire will give off some heat. Now, I'm going to chop this tree down, which hopefully will build up some more heat because of my activity, plus being right by the fire. And again, I'm going to stop it right there because I also need some kindling. Alt M and T, and his direction is number 1, or I could select it with the mouse. Unfortunately, we're just back to bitterly cold now. And I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting down this tree. Alt M and F to fell a tree. Since I'm pointing at that tree, it's going to assume that's the one I'm talking about. It was almost done, so it's down now. I'm back to just cold, so that's good. I'm going to move this guy. Oh, sorry. I just moved over to the tree trunk. I'm going to move it with the M key. The item selected by enter, and then move in the direction I want to move it. I'm going to set it on this stack over here of the kindling, and I'm going to hit M again to stop moving it. I'm going to stay here by the fire, and now I'm going to go ahead, let's see, I'm going to look at this fire and see how long it's going to burn. Okay, it's going to burn for a few hours. So I'm not necessarily going to waste this fire that I just made out here, because I am still looking around in the wilderness, and I might need to get back to a spot where I already have a fire. Again, a spectacular new option we have is to go ahead and hit F6 to get to the world map from where I am. Hit A. And again, sorry if it glitches this. Normally without the recorder running, it doesn't glitch the text field. When I hit enter, it'll highlight the first text field, which flashes for a second. I'll go ahead and enter my text. I'll hit enter again, which moves it to the second. There's a second line that you can hit text, and then enter or enter to get back to the screen, and exit to exit. It's easier when you can see the text. So I'm going to hit enter, and it flashed, and I'm going to put fire stuff, and that's just something so that I know, because I just almost died. I hit enter once, So now we can actually see the text. It's now highlighted on a line below that we can't see because of the layering glitch. I'm going to hit enter again. And now I'm going to leave this red, but actually I could pick a different color if it was some other message that I wanted to leave, like something that I thought a yellow marker was better, or a white, or I guess you can see the colors. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that red because it is a fire, and I'm going to hit escape to exit, and now puts that marker on the map so I can see it here. And if I hit escape, I'm back to where I'm standing, and I'm still cold, so I'm going to go ahead and let's see, is there anything I can do to show? Oh, I guess I'm not wielding anything yet, so I can do some of these things. Okay, first off, to check your inventory is the I key. This will give you a description of the things that are in the encyclopedia. If they're not, it'll just tell you, sorry, there's no real information about that item. Some people get confused because they get here and they're trying to equip things, and you can't equip things from the inventory screen. So we'll hit escape from the inventory screen. Now if I want to wield a weapon, right now I have nothing wielded in here, so I'm going to hit W, which is going to bring up the wielding screen and say, okay, these are all the items that are capable of being held in my hand that I'm holding. And I'm going to wield this rock. Okay, and now a rock functions as a club, and so if you're doing hides and things like that, the base items in the game, like the big log there, or slender trunks, or rocks and stones, all of those items carry a quality tag of decent. So they're mid-range items. So if you have nothing to use for doing hides, using a stone or a rock and a tree trunk is great, because that gives you two decent quality items that go into the recipe for making the hide that you're making. And I just kind of went off on a little tangent there, but so it's W to select the item you want to wield. I'm going to go ahead and wield my hand axe as well, and so what that'll do is put it in my second hand. You see 1 and 2, and here's where I've had the bane of my keyboard life at times. I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift X, and it switches the hands of those weapons. If you don't turn off the option and you inadvertently hit Shift Z, you're going to sleep if you're not vigorous at that time. Okay. So now, so that's the wield screen is W. Now to wear things, so had I picked up that guy's clothes, they'd be in my inventory, and I could hit Shift W, which says, okay, these are the clothing items that I have, or these are the items that I can wear on my person. And no wonder I'm cold. I have next to nothing. I really should go pick up that guy's stuff. Anyway, so if I had items that I wasn't wearing, they would be selectable here unless they conflict with an item that I'm already have equipped. Let's see, now to take off items, that's Shift and T, and from take off you can take off both wielded items and worn items. So it's just Shift W, or excuse me, Shift T to take off anything, whether you want to take something out of your hand or take it off as far as clothing, but it's Shift W and lowercase w for wield and wear. Unfortunately, my guy didn't use a whole lot of time while I was babbling on and on and on. So I'm going to go ahead and eat something, eat some more of that, eat the last of that pike. I'm still cold, a little bit thirsty. Okay, we set a marker here, so I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and we're going to zoom out. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit. I'm going to go ahead and zoom my screen all the way out to see if I see that other red X. No, not necessarily. I'm going to go ahead and look at my world map, which is F6, and see. Okay, right now I'm right here, and it's going to tell me by clicking on that sign, and I can move it with my cursors, my arrow keys as well. Or you can drag it with your mouse. It'll tell me what that marker is. And now here, this one is trapping site visited yesterday. Okay, so that's where I dropped my trap. Oh, I see, because there's multiple things here. There's my trapping site, so that where I put that loop snare, it now tells me when I visited that trap the last time, the one that the loop snare that I set right by the shelter, and it's also telling me that I have the X marker here which said body. Okay, and I think I'm going to head back toward the body in the hopes of finding an animal, but also because there are other things we can do while we're looking for the animal. And I'm going to keep a little bit closer eye on my temperature this time. And F6 at any time will show you your relationship to things. Let me go ahead and turn off the cultures. That's the C. And now I'm the red dot, so I'm almost to the X. I should be able to see it pretty soon. I hit escape to get off that screen. I'm going to go to this high point, and then I should be able to see it. Oh, there it is. And I'm cold, so I'm going to make haste to get over to my X. So now, by stepping on that marker, it tells me what the marker says. And if I hit enter, it should drop me right where I was at. Actually, when I left the map, I had moved off of the spot where I set the marker. And I'm going to step onto my friend here. Actually, I'm not going to I could step on him and then hit pick up with G or comma, or from a distance here, from next to him, I can hit semicolon or capital G, and it'll say, okay, which direction do I want to pick up an item from? And I'm going to point it at him, and it's going to tell me everything that he's carrying. And he has next to nothing for clothes. Man, we were both freezing out here in the woods, although he does have a stag fur. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and right now pick up the clothes that he's wearing and this fur. You know what, I'm going to just pick up the stuff. I'm even going to take his rock. And then I'm going to do Shift W to see if I can potentially wear any of these things to give me some sort of extra protection. And by highlighting them, I hit enter, which marks them with green. I move to the next one, and so on. And then I hit space bar for it to actually go through and put those items on. Okay, so now let's see. What else did we pick up? Oh, we hit I for inventory. Okay, we're pretty good. We should get back so that we don't get too cold for the moment. So I'm going to hit enter, leave my friend behind again, and then our shelter was right over here. There's the shelter. I step on it, it tells me I stepped on the shelter because the option isn't turned on for me to zoom in automatically. I don't see my cow. Hopefully it's not dead somewhere. Oh, there she is. Okay, she was just around the corner. Okay, that's good. Would have been sad to lose my cow, because there are things I wanted to show you. Like this. Okay. I'm going to go into my inventory, so and I'm going to drop this stag fur onto the ground because it's 24 pounds. Of course, I can't drop things from my inventory, right? So what I'm going to do is actually hit D to drop an item. I'm going to pick the stag fur from my inventory. It goes green, and I select spacebar, and I've dropped the stag fur onto the ground. Now, standing next to my cow, or if I had a dog, or if I had a companion, an NPC with me, or any of your domestic animals, I'm going to do P to push the item, and I'm going to push it in the direction of my cow. And now what I just did was I packed that 24-pound fur onto my cow. So my cow can carry, I'm not sure what the weight limits are. I haven't done any real testing with 3.30 for the weights on the animals. So now if I hit F3 and look at my cow, again, the layering problem, it would tell me that it's a cow and she's carrying that fur. Now, the reason that's important is the pickup from a distance that you can do from on the ground, but you think, well, why don't I just walk over there and step on it and take it? You do pick up from a distance, so capital G or semicolon, and it says, okay, what do you want to pick up? You point to your pack animal, and it says, okay, these are all the things it's holding, and you select them and retrieve, and that's how you put and take things from your animals when you use your animals to pack things. Okay, I think I need a fire, so I'm gonna Alt M and T to make some kindling. My cow just went off. I'll make sure it wasn't in alarm. And I'm going to Alt M and fell this tree. So I'm going to build a long fire because I'm not really concerned with the tree growth around here. This isn't where I'm putting my house. Okay, step onto the log, hit M to move it, hit enter, move it onto the kindling, move it, or M to stop moving it, sorry. And we're starting to get a bit cold, so I'm going to go ahead and hit F to start my fire, number 1, because that's where the stuff is. F and number 1. F and number 1. And I'm going to eat. Eat is the E key, if I hadn't mentioned that yet. Drink is Q, eat is E. I'm going to go ahead and start eating these breads because they'll go bad soon. Alright, I'm down to just chili. And now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to get a drink. So I'm going to hit Q and yes. And Q and yes to drink. And I'm going to go back over to my fire. Now, since we're chilly, and we need to, let me check. You hit F4 to see what your rituals are, and I have the origin of fire and favorableness of trap. So I don't have anything that's hunting related. So what I think I'm going to do is, since we're a bit tired and we're chilly, we just lit a fire that I'm going to hit F3, and this fire is going to burn until late morning, so it's going to burn all night. So this is a good place for us to crash out. So with the fur, let's check. Okay, the way you check to see how your coverage is to check your armoring. So it's Shift A. So A is the apply menu. Shift A is to display your armor coverage. Armor coverage is broken into multiple categories depending on all the pieces and how resistant they are to a specific type of attack. The one I'm most concerned about right now is protection from the cold. There, by selecting that, you see the character has updated with all the pieces that he's wearing and what their relative protection is to the scale that's below his feet. So I obviously need something for my hands, something for my head, and then my upper body and legs. Okay, from there, you know, the yellow, green is going to be the best. So we just picked up that 24-pound fur from our poor friend, and we have a nice fire going here. We're fed. Current nutrition level is abundant. I'm not thirsty or hungry right now. I am a bit tired, so I'm gonna figure we'll sack out here and do some groundwork that isn't necessarily part of the tutorial, although it was, because we did these things in the tutorial. We're going to do Shift M for make, and we're going to go to the clothing menu. And now I don't have any leather. What I have is a fur. I have a giant fur. 24-pound fur is an amazing thing. One of the best items you can get, in my opinion, when you start the game is a fur overcoat, which is basically 15 pounds of fur that allows you to make cord or other clothing. If you have, you know, nothing else, you can make pants, you can make foot coverings, you know, you can do all those things with it. So the first things we're going to do here is look at what we can make with fur. Cap we're going to need, shirt not necessarily, mittens definitely. So let's go ahead and pick mittens first. Okay, it's going to tell us we need 1 pound of animal hide in order to make the fur mittens. So I'm going to pick the stag fur, and we need a knife. Tells us we have everything we need. Would we like to proceed? We'll hit space. And he'll now proceed to, oh, the goshawk has entered my view while I'm trying to warm my hands. No, I don't really care, because it didn't give me credit for finding it. Because it found me. And that does, again, slow the clock down a little bit, because there is a non-player character, creature of some kind. It could be a hostile animal, it could be whatever, that it does track in the environment as things are going on around it, whether you can see it or not. Alright, so we obtained some decent fur mittens, and now I'm going to hit I to look at my inventory real quick, and what we used was knife to create it, I think. Is what it defaulted to use, which is, since it just says knife, it's a decent knife. The stag fur is just a stag fur, so it's a decent stag fur. Clothing, I don't know what skill it uses, but if it uses common, that would be 50%, and so from those pieces to get a decent mittens is what would be the expected outcome. So the first thing I'm going to do is put on my mittens, which is Shift W to wear. I'm going to select my mittens with Enter, hit space, and now my hands are going to feel nice and toasty, even though I'm sweating profusely from the giant fire that's burning next to me. Now I'm going to go back to the Make menu with Shift M and pick Clothing and go Fur. Okay, fur cap, fur hood. Now the cap would just be on like the top of my head. The fur hood, I believe, will cover even part of my neck. And so we need 1 pound of hide. We're going to select our stag fur again. We have a knife. Okay, so it's decent. I'm going to guess we make a decent fur hood. And again, I've now moved into tired as far as my vigor state. And we have a decent hood. Shift W, and we're going to wear our decent hood. And now I'm going to do Shift A again to look at the armoring. and I'm going to go down to protection against the cold and hit enter. And as you can see now, my hands are in yellow, my head is in yellow, which is better, and my feet are also in yellow. So if we look at our inventory, we'll see the shoes that we're wearing are birch bark shoes, which probably don't provide the best cooling protection, although they provide a hard surface. So probably some fur shoes might help us out. We still have 22 pounds of fur. So what I would do normally right now, since it's still cold and we're still wandering, is figure what's the biggest thing I'm going to want to make, and then start piecing up the fur from there. So the biggest thing I would want is my aforementioned fur overcoat, because that's going to let me carry that. It'll help keep me warm. Not only will I carry it like just carrying the fur around, but this will allow me to carry it, wear it. It'll keep me warm and protect me, if bad things happen. If I get, attacked by wolves or something like that, it'll give me a level of protection. So I'm going to go ahead and build that. Now that'll take a while, and it may actually send my guy all the way to sleep to make this item. Hopefully nothing will come around like the goshawk to slow down the timer. I wonder if he's getting caught in my trap, and that's why and the cow as well, I guess, bouncing around kind of. And now if you watch the character window up in the upper right hand corner, you might see the little the direction indicator for the sound. It happens a little faster when long tasks like this are running, and it goes away pretty fast. But now the sound indicator is no longer on the little screen that it used to be. It's now up in the upper corner where your character face is, and it will show a little direction sound thing at the margin of the picture. Alright, so we're several hours in. And now you also see why it was important to know how long this fire was going to burn, so that my guy didn't start freezing and me end up having to abort this task after spending 6 hours trying to do it. And there's our friend. He's hopping around. No, we do not want to abort. And what I should probably do is, after the character sleeps, probably right when this is done, in the morning, is see if I can't catch a fish, put the fish in that loop snare, and we'll catch that hawk. Really long task. And it seems a lot longer since I'm recording this, but really is the way that I would play it in the game if I were surviving for real, in one of my games. That item is really crucial. And so now I'm going to go ahead, and it's the small hours, which is just before morning. So I'm going to go ahead and eat a rye bread real quick and go to sleep. I'm going to hit Shift Z. And I don't know who this guy Russell is, but he wakes me up all the time. So I'm going to go back to sleep. Shift Z. There we go. Finally, alright, and now we're back and we're vigorous and we're really thirsty. Our fire's out, we're sweaty. Oh, I didn't even put my cloak on, so I'm going to Shift W, and I'm going to wear this. And now I'm going to do Shift A to look at the armoring again. We're going to look at our protection against the cold. And now we're pretty good. We could still do fur boots and things, but let's go ahead and see. Our friend didn't fall into the trap. Let's go ahead and do. I'm going to do Alt F for fishing. I'm going to do make a hole in the ice, and hit space because it told me I had everything I needed. That's what the X's are. Is that item is filled. I'm going to go ahead and take a drink because I'm getting pretty thirsty. Q, and yes. And the goshawk is to the north. I'm going to go ahead and eat another rye bread. Alright, let's see if we can't catch us a fish to catch this hawk. I'm going to do A to apply and select the fishing rod, and you'll start fishing right away. And if you catch something, it'll stop. And as I said, I rarely let it go beyond 2 hours before I restart. And we caught a perch. So I'm going to hit comma to pick that up. Move over next to this trap. And I'm going to do Alt R is the shortcut for trapping, and I always struggle, even though I trap a lot, I always struggle with Alt R. But Alt R is what I just pressed there to bring up the trapping menu, and I'm going to select to bait a trap. I'm going to tell it that I want to bait the loop snare right in front of me. Oh, I must have hit something incorrectly. Let me stand right there. Okay, no, I don't want to step on the trap. Okay, I'm right there at the trap. I'm going to hit R just to repeat the last thing. Up. And I'm going to put the raw fish in the trap. Now, for trapping, animals will take raw food in any form. So whether it's fresh, raw, or spoiled or rotten, animals will come to the traps if they're hungry and there's food there. If it's cooked foods, they generally either will shy away from it, and if it's spoiled cooked foods, they will definitely stay away from it. So anything raw is good for your traps, depending on what you want to catch, of course. So we're going to leave that there for him. Actually, let's go ahead and hit F4 and do our ritual one more time, because we did have one for a trap. Let's go ahead and put another blessing on this trap. And I can just hit spacebar to make that window drop faster than letting it run the whole course. But okay, and so since we just set that trap, it's probably a good idea for us to move away for a little while. So I'm going to hit enter to zoom out. And it is evening right now, so we're going to start losing some of our visibility. Control minus to widen my view a little bit. But let's see if we can't stumble across some kind of an animal. Okay. So, fortunately, and this is the way it happens a lot. Sometimes you can see them on this map. You'll see one animal, and you'll be able to get over there, and there'll be like a herd of reindeer or something like that. Or a lot of times you'll just be walking along, and it'll tell you, "Ooh, you found a squirrel. Do you want to go in?" With things like dangerous animals and large prey like reindeer, just gives you the option to continue, and it drags you in. There may be a game option so that it doesn't automatically drag you in, but I think it does. So I'm going to hit space, and it's going to zoom us in, which would be the same as me hitting enter on that spot. Deer around us. Okay. And so now we've successfully completed the find an animal part of the trainer. And so we'll hit escape, and it's going to say, okay, the next thing you need to do, simple, kill an animal. Okay, reindeer are pretty fast, and my guy's speed is 3 kilometers an hour, which is not a fast person. If I was around 6, you might have a chance to chase down something like a reindeer or an elk, but generally only if you're out on a mire where it's long and flat and they can't get away from you, or if you can chase them up against a river or something and force them into the water, and they'll tire themselves out and you can kill them when they come out of the water, or they'll drown. So I can follow these guys a little bit. I think I'm a little zoomed out, so I'm going to control 0 a couple of times here. Okay, just once to get me there. But let me see my inventory. I don't really have any ranged weapons aside from throwing rocks at them. So I don't know if I even have any real skills at something like throwing. Oh, that was a good chance right there. I'm gonna step up here, see if I can't get kind of close to one. Okay, there's one right there. Now, since I have a rock in my second hand, I can select throw and throw that rock and do it basically in this turn. If I didn't have a rock or something, if I want to pick this rock, my explanation is bad there. I can throw this one because it's in the same turn. If I didn't have something in my second hand, to pick this rock and throw it would cost me a turn, and so the reindeer would move. Since it's in my hand, they won't move before I can throw it. So I'm going to select to throw it, and I'm going to try to hit this guy that's right here. And it's going to ask me, okay, so where do I want to kind of aim my rock, or whatever projectile I'm throwing at this target. I'm going to go ahead and go for the body because I have no idea if I'll even get close to hitting it with a rock. And let's see, I totally blew my throw, sending it wild. I hit a tree, and so they ran away. Now they're still close to me because there's a whole herd of them, and reindeer will all try to be moving in one direction, and sometimes they'll scatter around you. And you can use that to your advantage because just like any animal, they'll want to get back to their herd. So you can kind of isolate animals by forcing them in a direction not the way the rest of the herd went, because they'll keep trying to get back through. So these guys, I'm going to let them go. So I'm going to kind of go in the other direction in the hopes that they were all over there. Because if you're too close to an active NPC, it won't let you zoom in and out. It won't let you zoom out to this next map. It would tell me that there's activity too close. Okay, so now we need to kill an animal, and I'm guessing that this will be a good time to say I'm glad that Bossy's still with us, even though it's going to be very sad. So I move back to the shelter and hit enter. The cow is currently tied to a tree. So I'm going to go ahead and have something to eat. No, I'm not going to step into the icy, really thin hole. I'm going to say Q to drink. And Q to drink. There's the hawk. He's not in the trap yet. See, if he was in the trap, I could just kill him. But I don't think I really need the cow for anything else. I showed how to pack the animal. I showed how to, let's see, I think I go right here. So right here's where it's tied to the tree. I'm going to hit pick up from a remote location, so Shift G or semicolon, and point at the tree, and I now have the leash. So if I go inventory, I now have my cow on the leash. And animals on the leash, if you have anything that's not a dog, keep it on the leash unless you have it penned up or tied up, because they will run away. Alright, so come here, bossy. Inventory, and now we're going to go ahead and see if we can't quickly and humanely end our cow right here, which I believe should finish our kill an animal task. Let's see, I showed you how to pack something on the animal with push, how to pull something off the animal with remote get, capital G or semicolon. A cow can be milked along with sheep. It can't be milked during the winter because they don't give milk in the winter. The way you would do that is, if I had a cup, you know what, I can make a cup. Can I make a cup? Oh, a cup requires a block. And anyway, if I had a cup, which can be crafted, Shift M and utility items, and here's a wooden cup, which basically is a cup that holds fluid. You can put water in it, you can put milk in it, and you carry it around and it doesn't spill. It's kind of miraculous. Bowl as well is you fill it with fluids and it never spills, even though you're running through the forest. A skin is like an actual drinking skin, so like a canteen, but made of animal skin, which holds the most amount of the items that you can craft that hold fluids. So if I had any of those items, I would hit A. They would appear here in my tools. I would select the cup, and it would say, okay, what do you want to do with the cup? Do you want to fill it with water or milk, or do you want to put a substance in it, or dump it out? If I selected milk, or to fill it with water or milk, it would bring up a directional cursor. I would point to the cow, and you'll actually milk your cow or sheep, and the milk will be in that container. Milk is pretty good for nutrition, which is kind of why I don't want to kill the cow. But since the cow is on a leash, it should allow me to fairly humanely do away with it. At least it did in the last version. I haven't done this in this version. So what we'll do, we'll use our hand axe, or do I have a better weapon than that, don't I? I have a broad knife, which will be the best thing to use. Oh, but I did inventory. So I want to wield, which is lowercase w. I want to wield the broad knife. I'm going to Shift X to exchange hands, and I'm going to Shift T to take off the hand axe. And now I'm going to do number 1, which is which weapon I have. I'm going to point at the cow, and since it recognizes that I'm probably butchering this thing, we're going to go edge, and we're going to go neck. And so I don't really have to attack it the way you do in normal combat. This kind of gives you a way to, you're controlling your animal, and you're gonna humanely end it and use it for what it is, because you have deer herds and elk herds and things like that, and the animals are there to be food. So we go neck, and she's still bellowing in pain. But so we're gonna do. Now I did 1 to attack the first time. Since I did that, I can now do 3, and it will repeat my last attack. So what I did was cut and neck. So if I do 3, it's going to ask me which direction, and it does again a neck cut. And now let's see. Let's do F3, and now let's look at our cow. Oh, darn it! And I wish that wasn't glitching like that. But that would tell us whether or not the cow is bleeding. If it has bleeding wounds, you can just wait. You don't have to continue to hack at animals. Like if they're in one of your pit traps, when you cut its neck and it has a bleeding wound, you can just pass time and it'll pass. You don't have to continue to hack at it and mess up the fur. And so I'm going to do 3 again, and she's now in space 1. And 3 again, and she's now in up. Oh, come on, Bossy, just go down. 3 and 1. 3 and down. Alright, I'm going to do 1 and that way, and I'm going to do point. And again, I'm still going to... Now my clumsiness is messing me up. Alright. I think I dropped my weapon, and now the cow is attacking me. Alright. So we're going to the hand axe. Alright, Bossy. Number 1. There. I'm going to use the edge. I'm going to use the neck. Man, my cow is stealthy. 1. 9. Edge. Neck. There, about time. Where'd she fall prone at? I don't see her. Oh, she's right there. Okay. So now, 1, 9, edge, neck. Okay, and I think I dropped my knife, so I'm going to hit comma real quick just to see if something's on the ground. Yeah, my knife is down there. And I'm going to pass a little time here real quick, just by hitting period. Okay, and so there I just hit period a couple of times and let a couple of turns go by, and the cow expired from her bleeding wounds. And we have now passed the slaying an animal, or excuse me, killing a kill. The next thing we need to do is to work a hide. Okay, so now that we have our cow, and if I look at my inventory, you see we still have our rope, which was our leash. Our cow is now on the ground. So, I'm lively. Our temperature is probably going to stay pretty good now, given the extra poundage of fur that we just packed on. So let's go ahead and work this hide. So I have a fresh carcass here, and in order to work the hide, you're going to use the hide working menu for any carcass pretty much, which is Alt-H for hide working, and you're going to skin the animal before you butcher it for the cuts. So we'll do S for skin, that's Alt-H, then S, and we'll use a knife. And now the game has been adjusted so that broad knife is the preferred tool for skinning or for hide working. Alright, we got a harsh cow skin, and now I've never really gotten too hung up, because I do a lot of trapping in this game. I never got too caught up in what the skin qualities are, especially early on, because the real value is in being able to make your equipment and to be able to build traps. So the cord you need to build trip falls, the cord you need for all of the smoking of the meats so that you can preserve them, or drying, whichever you prefer. So harsh cow skin to me is as great a find as that stag fur that the guy had when I needed that, because this will be 30 cords that you can make out of that, which will smoke 150 cuts of meat. So I've just a little side note, I never really get too concerned, because as your skill goes up, the quality of the skins will go up. Plus it depends on how mercilessly you had to take out the prey. So right now we have the hide, and so I'm gonna go ahead and open my hole again with Alt F for fishing, make a hole, which could have been also Q. I'm gonna go ahead and Q to take a drink anyway, since I opened the hole. And now I'm gonna, because I'm not overly worried about the cuts, there's gonna be probably a good amount of cuts that I am not really prepared to deal with right now, so I'm gonna focus on the hide working till we get through the first phase. Now, so we need open water and the hide, and we go back into hide working is Alt H, and we're going to clean that skin. See, first we did skin, now we're going to clean it, which is a process of taking the skin, and I just picked the wrong hide, so I'm going to do Alt H and clean, and I'm going to pick the harsh cowhide, which is 16 pounds. And it says, okay, we need water, and it'll use the broad knife, and this is to clean and start scraping the hide.
We need people like that. We need people that will take care of old people, teeth people, foot people. I mean, that's great. And I worked my whole life too. I mean, I worked my whole life from I was 14 till after.
And that hawk is still obviously hanging around, because even this amount of time, if the NPC wasn't in the area, it would roll by much faster, even though the allotted the amount of time that the game says it took is the same. So we now have the cleaned hide. The next step is going to be the first step of the tanning process, which you can do, but you need a tanning material. Normally you can use the fat of the animal. So once you've butchered the animal, you'll get meat cuts and fat. The fat is usually enough to tan the size of the hide that you would get from the animal. That's just a mechanic in the game, I'm guessing. There are also a couple of types of trees that you can use their bark as the tanning material. So if the fat is more valuable to you as a food, especially early on, or if you start making recipes or doing something else with the fat, you can always find those types of trees and peel a bunch of the bark so that you have it readily available. Since I don't have that, we're going to go ahead and have to butcher this cow right now to get the fat to do the next step of the tanning process. Let's see, hunger's up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and eat. Actually, I'm not going to eat, because we're going to get a bunch of cuts from this cow. So I'm going to go ahead and butcher the cow first, because right now we just have the cleaned skin that we're holding. So now to butcher the animal, you stand next to the animal, next to the carcass, and it's simply the B key, and it says, okay, you need a cutting weapon, and go to town. Now the game is really smart in that, depending on what type of cutting weapon you use, it will vary the amount of cuts that you can get out of an animal. So you might get from an elk 200 cuts if you're using a quality knife, decent or better. Whereas if you're using a stone knife, which is basically a sharp rock, you could potentially only get 50 cuts out of the same elk. Let's see, we just got 98 cuts, and it stopped because I went over 100% fatigue. So I'm going to go ahead and drop those on the ground, just because that's 100 pounds I don't need to carry. And I'm going to also drop actually I'm not going to drop the hide yet, because I'm hoping we can finish that butchering. Let's go ahead and eat, because that'll still, again, I don't want to eat. Alright, I'm going to spin some turns just because right here my fatigue is 100, so I can't move off my spot. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and go over here, start a little fire, take a handful of these cuts and start them roasting, and then I'll come back and finish butchering the cow, because the fat is the last thing that you get off of it. Okay, and I just hit comma to pick up the item. It sees that I'm standing on all the cuts. Since I'm just going to take like 5 cuts, I can just hit 5 since it was on the display. I didn't have to hit space if I wanted to type a number that wasn't there in the display.
I mean, it can work out. I mean, it always works out. People that are young and have kids, it works.
And I'm going to do Alt-M and T to cut the tree. And 1 is plenty. Now I'm going to do F to start a fire. F to start a fire. I'm going to go ahead and roast the 5 cuts that I just picked up, because they'll take about an hour. So that's Alt-C for cooking, and then R to roast. I'm going to pick the cuts. It's going to ask me how many. Now when you roast, you can only roast a stack of 10 at a time. So for a large animal, it can be a pretty big task getting all the meat onto a fire when you're roasting. The same is true with the other methods. It's just it's less, because we'll see if we get there or not. But there are some tricks if you're using other methods. I'm going to say enter, because I'm going to do all 5 cuts. Alright, we're back at our cow. My rate is still pretty high, so I'm going to just hit period a few times and drop that number back. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and just hit minus and drop the number back, so it's going pretty slow. There must be an animal about. Alright, and I hit escape to stop passing time. Now B to continue butchering. It tells me I have what I need, space. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and drop these 46 cuts additionally on the ground. I'm going to step over here and see if my cuts are done yet. My cuts are done, so I'm going to hit comma to pick them up. Now, since they're here, I can hit enter and then down arrow and enter again and pick them that way. You can also pick everything that's here by hitting shift and plus, and it'll highlight them all, and then space. So shift plus and space, and it'll pick up everything that's there. So now we'll go ahead and hit E, since I now have some fresh roasted cuts. And the reason I didn't eat earlier was because I knew I was going to have to roast this meat, and the roasted will go bad. This stuff will last forever. So you want to really hold on to your preserved meats, especially early on, because they won't go bad on you. So it's something you could always count on. Eat that. It was very tasty. Ooh. Okay. So now we have the fat as well from the final 46 cuts and the fat. So we'll go ahead and hit Q and yes to open the hole again, and Q to take a drink because we need a little drink. Alright, now we'll go back to the hide working, which is the Alt-H menu for hide working, and we already cleaned the hide. Now if I didn't have a tanning material, and if you have long trap lines later on in the game, or different things, if you have a bad start but you get an animal and you don't want to lose the hide, but you need to eat the fat because you're starving to death, you can cure the hide, which is a process that's, I believe it's less time consuming than tanning the hide, and it allows you to then carry it around for a long time, and then there's a couple of step process to get it back to where you can finish tanning it out. I don't really use it very much. maybe just a couple of times ever in game. Dehair is another one that if I have a large fur and I want to make leather versus fur, you need to go through the dehairing process. And so if you pick that, it'll tell you where you are. I'm not sure if with just probably with just the clean skin you can do curing, you can do dehairing, or you can start the tanning process. And all of these will be multi-step processes and they do guide you along the way. But what we're going to do is just tan it. So we'll go down to tan, hit enter. It says okay, we need the fur, so we'll pick the cowhide. It says okay, we need tanning material, which could be bark or it could be the fat. And we need 1.5 pounds, or just over 1.5 pounds of fat. And you see this says we have 2 pounds of fat, but I'm going to bet you when we use it, it might be zeroed out. Now some things do have more fat, like seals have way more fat than you need to do any tan with their hide. So I think for the different animals it does vary as well. So here, pick the fat, and we'll say yes. And this process is faster because basically you're just rubbing the tanning material over the whole surface and stretching the hide.
Well, yeah, when Michael Jackson's doctor was on trial for Michael Jackson.
Alright, now for that step, the hide needs to now sit, and I just hit pick up, so I just went comma to pick it up, and it should tell us how long it's going to take. By afternoon, we'll be ready to pick this up and run it through tan again for the next stage. For the raw cuts, okay, so we got to that. I'm going to go ahead and hit F5 and see where we are on the tasks. Oh, we're in hide working. Okay, so we have to get through that for it to move on. Let's see. Okay, so I've shown you how to roast. So we went over here, we made a fire, we roasted up some of those cuts. Now I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of these cuts that are on the ground. And now I want to pick up more than 9 but less than 139. So I'm going to go ahead and hit space. And I'm going to put in 19. And if you've played the game before, you know why I picked 19. And I'm going to come over here to my shelter, and I don't know if it's going to be the right time of year. We can hope, and we'll see how we go. I check my inventory, and I do have 1 cord already made up. It's a good idea when you have a little downtime to cut up your bad furs and things like that and leave the cord next to wherever you do your meat preparation. That way when you get a kill and you have a lot of meat, you don't have to spend a lot of hours making the cord and allowing the meat to get stale. If you have the cords ready, when the meat comes to you, you can generally get it down faster, and it helps your cooking skill. It helps it helps all that part of the game go smoother. So I do have 1 cord right now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the cooking menu, Alt C, and I'm going to see if I can dry some meat. And so basically what I'm going to do, it does need me to let's pick the meat. Now, unlike roast that limits you to 10 items in a batch or at a time, drying, smoking, potentially salting, I'm not sure, but definitely drying and smoking allow you to pick a number larger than 10 because you're actually wrapping it with a piece of cord. And I think because of a game mechanic, that 10 was kind of already into double digits, and I don't know why, but as a trapper, I love it because I can use 1 cord for 19 cuts versus roasting, which is 10 cuts at a time. So it allows me to almost double my productivity at the cost of 1 cord. Now, if I do 20 cuts, it will cost me 2 cords. Okay, so the cutoff is 19. And now you have to be anal, and you have to do them 19 at a time. because it will say, hey, you have 139 cuts. How many do you want to smoke? And if you just hit enter, it'll take 10 cuts per cord that you have and use all of your cord at 10 per. If you do it manually, one batch at a time, you can get 19. Sorry for kind of rambling on there, guys. So I'm going to pick the 19 cuts, and it's going to say how many it's going to say, and I'm going to go ahead and hit enter because I know 19 is a good amount. If I were holding more, I would hit space and type 19. Okay, fortunately the weather is good for drying the meat. I need a place for it to dry, which is checked, because I'll use the rafters along my shelter on the outside to hang the meat. I'll need a knife to prepare it, and I need something to tie it up with, which is my cord. So I'll hit space. It'll say, okay, which do I want to use? Now I could use the rope, but if you notice, a rope is a pound. A cord is half a pound. Cord is something that you can make in the game, and so technically, even though I could use this, I could also probably cut that in half and get 2 cords out of it. So, you know, those sort of things kind of make sense when you're really trying to scrape by when you're surviving. So I'm going to go ahead and select the cord, and it's going to go ahead and wrap up my bundles of meat, put my special seasoning on it, a little spruce rub. And there we go. And so now it sets those on the ground to be prepared and dried. Now drying takes, I believe, 2 weeks or just over 2 weeks, which is a really long time, and it kind of commits you to a place. 25 days it'll take for that meat to become ready. So you can kind of get into a balancing act where you're trying to figure out, okay, I don't want to roast too many cuts and have them go bad, but I know it's going to be 25 days before this is ready, you know, and you do that kind of thing. Now, for smoking, I believe it's 16 days. It might be 15 days for smoking, but my preferred method is always smoking, but that requires a building and you know, a fireplace and things like that, which is more setup than I've done here with this fresh start. I'm sorry, I forgot F5. Where are we? F5. Oh, I'm still at hide working. And it's still morning. That's still not going to be ready till afternoon, and that was just comma to try to pick it up so I could see what it said. Alright, so what we can do is go ahead and make some more cord. So we're going to go to the Make menu, which is Shift M, and we're going to pick Utility Items, or Utility Articles, excuse me, and we're going to select Cord. Now each cord is half a pound of most any of the cloth materials that are in the game. So let's go ahead and make 2, and I'm going to pick 2 because if that bird's around, it's going to really slow us down. And I'll take a pound off of that fur. And now I'm going to look at my inventory again, actually, for a second and see what I was wearing. I do have my fur mittens. I have the birch bark shoes. I should really think about making that stag fur into some shoes. So I'm going to hit escape here, and I'm going to... what happened there was I must have clicked on an armor piece, and so it took me to the armoring screen because there is some detail in there for each piece of armor and what its qualifications are. Okay, we're going to go to the Make menu, and we're going to go Close, and I'm going to make some fur footwear. And hopefully, yes. Okay, so even though we had cut 15 pounds out of the stag fur for our back, we still have 2 more pounds that we can use. And again, when you're wearing the items, you're still carrying them because you can take them off and cut them up for cordage if you need it at any time. But as opposed to just carrying the weight, they also provide you warmth and protection. Hopefully that guy doesn't see me in my shelter and he goes and gets into my trap. And I'm going to do Shift W to wear, and I'm going to put on my fur footwear. And that got us to late morning. Now let's go ahead and eat something with E. And I did have a little bit of fat left over. And now the fat I'll have to cook in order to eat it, but it actually has really good whatever it is that feeds your hunger in the game. I don't know if it's calories or alright, so we're ready to drop. I'm going to go to inventory with I. How many cords did I make? Just 2? Which would allow us to dry 38 more cuts. Oh, I hit minus by accident there, sorry. I meant to hit pickup, comma, and I hit space, and I'm going to say 38 cuts. And I'm going to go over here and go ahead and set those to drying. So Alt-C, dry, select your meat cut. Now since I'm holding 38, I'm going to go ahead and hit space, because 38 would actually cost me 4 cords if I had 4 cords in my hand. If I just allowed it to do the 38 as it is there. So I'm going to say 19. And 1 cord. I'm so tired I'm falling down. I'm going to go ahead and hit, now in order to get up, you hit U, and U also lays you down. So I'm going to hit U to get up. I'm going to still try to get this last batch on there before, so I just hit R to bring up the same menu, or to the repeat. I'm going to select the 19 cuts. I'm going to just hit enter because 19 is a good amount for me. Space, and use my other cord, and space. And the goshawk is in the west, so he's not by our trap. I'm going to go ahead and move over here. I'm going to just crawl under my shelter and go to sleep. And now, even though it kind of, again with the overlay, it's messing with my display. Hopefully it's not so much in the recording. But my warmth stayed up nice and high, even though I'm now sleeping with no fire. The shelter does provide some protection. But if we hit Shift A and look at protection against the cold, we're pretty well set right now. Although right now the temperature is still up high, it can get way down here, which is really cold. Let's go ahead and E to eat, and I'm going to eat another piece of my poor cow. I appreciate you, cow. Okay, so our fur is ready now. I'm going to need to open the hole again. Q and yes to open the hole. And Q and yes to drink. Okay, and then I'm going to use pickup, so comma or G for get. And once I'm holding it, I'm going to press Alt H to get into the hide working, and T because I'm going to do the next step of tanning. I'm going to select the hide, which now is called a harsh tanning hide, or skin, skin. Now this stage is just washing it off again, so all that's required is water and time.
And she had told me, she's like, "That's definitely shave." And I was like,
And that's why Brian didn't go, right?
It's so dark that I can't really see that it's snowing. Alright, I'm going to hit pick up because I finished and I set it on the ground. I'm going to pick up and it'll tell us when it's going to be done. It'll be ready by morning. Right now it's midnight. I'm going to go ahead and scoop up these cow cuts. So it'll pick up. I'm going to just hit enter and pick them all up. Fortunately I can still walk. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and roast up some of these cuts. So we'll do first thing we need to do is pull a little bit of firewood off this tree. Alt M and T. And the tree is at that diagonal. And then R to repeat. And number 1. And then I'll just back into my shelter. We'll do F to start a fire, number 1. And Alt C, and then R to roast. Cook, then roast. I'll just hit enter on those guys. We'll go ahead and drop 10 on the ground. And space. And now, I'm not sure with cow. I haven't eaten a whole lot of cow. Normally with elk or reindeer, it's 2 cuts. Kind of satiates your appetite, or satiates, whatever the word is. And so I'm trying to think how many to cook, because it'll take about 3 to 4 days before the stuff will start going bad, and so you don't want to overcook. Because I could dry it. I guess for this, all intent and purpose, I can roast it all here because this is mainly for this demo. But normally I would be drying more of it or smoking most of it, you know. So I'm going to do Alt C and roast, and we're going to cook 10 more.
And when you're over there, what do you do? Here you can do stuff about it. Over there you can
Actually, they're not like that. They're like,
And let's see, while we wait, we'll go ahead and make some more cord because I've used all my cordage. And cord is you know, it's squirrel pelts that are the economy of the Unreal world, but I think it's actually cord. So I'm going to do the make menu, Shift M, and utility, and cord, and I'm going to make 2 more cords. Our fur is almost gone. Okay, my cow is done. And my fire is still burning, so I need to pay attention to that. Oh, I guess I was already standing on it though. Okay, I'm going to hit pick up, so G. Shift plus to select them all, and space. And now I'm going to back out because I think that should be all the ones I set on the ground, yes. And now since the fire is still burning, I could go ahead and roast some more. And I did cut some cordage, so I'm going to do Alt C and R to roast another batch. And I'm going to pick from there and let it do the 10. And since I got those down just in time before the fire went out, they're going to cook up just fine and they won't burn. We're still after midnight, so we still got to wait till morning for that thing. The bird is not interested in our trap yet. He'll wind up in there though. If we had been going away for like overnight, if we'd gone somewhere else and fished for a day or two and come back, that hawk would have probably been in that trap by now. Oh, and the fat, I should cook the fat while I'm waiting, sorry. Alt M, T, number 1, F for fire, number 1, Alt C, R to roast, pick that remaining fat. Okay, my cow cuts are finished, so pick up, Shift plus to select the whole stack and space, and then I'm going to hit minus and pass a little time so the fat will cook up. There's fat's done. Go ahead and hit pick up. I'm going to eat, and I'm going to eat that cow fat because nothing tastes better than the fat. Ooh. Alright, we're into the small hours. Morning is coming, so hopefully this hide will be ready before too long. What did it say? By morning. So we'll go ahead and cut a hole in the ice. And we'll take a drink. And it's early, so I'm going to go ahead and fish, because fishing is also a good way to kill off a couple hours. If you need to do something, you know, or you just, instead of just hitting space, or instead of just hitting the minus sign and letting the time go, you can always go and fish and kill off time really well. So I'm going to hit A for apply. I'm going to pick my fishing rod. Plus, it can sometimes be beneficial if you can, you know, if you catch fish. Okay, I didn't catch any fish, and my hole should still be open since I was actively fishing in it. We're still in the small hours, so so our skin's not ready. So I'm going to go ahead and hit A again and fishing rod, and we'll fish some more.
You gotta sell out. It needs the park. It takes a village.
And I normally, as I said, stop at 2 hours. We're in early morning, so we're getting closer. So we'll go ahead and fish again. Let's try it the other way, because sometimes superstition, you know, and the mysticism of the game. So I'm going to do, this time I'm going to do Alt F to get to the fishing menu. I'm going to say I'm going to actively fish, and I'm going to go to the fishing rod. And kind of right there is why I like to do A more for apply, because the list is shorter, and depending on how you pick stuff up and put it down, fishing rod is right at the top on my A right now. So I'm going to select it there with enter, and we'll start fishing.
I used to do this. Still do. I'm just used to it as well.
Alright, and we've caught a pike, 2 roaches, a bream, and 2 perches. I guess all those fish were thinking we moved along, because that's a good pile of fish. So let me go ahead and hit pick up. We'll hit Shift plus and scoop up all those fish in space. We're at morning now, so our hide should be close. Let me hit pick up again. The hide should be ready in a few hours, which means within an hour or 2. Okay. So we'll go ahead and roast up some fish in the meantime, although I have a lot of roast meat already. If I knew where there was a town, I could go there and trade them some of this raw meat, or even if I roasted it, some of the roasted meat, and try to trade it off for some of their dried meats, and that way you don't have to worry about it going bad on you. Because sometimes when you have a lot of meat, you can get away from you. You think you're doing really well, and then when 100 cuts all spoil at one time, you can find yourself in pretty bad shape. I'm going to go ahead and eat, so I'm going to hit E for eat. I'm going to pick something. Let's go roasted cow. Ooh.
They need lubrication as
That's,
far as.
yeah, I'm like, it's still an engine.
Enjoying.
Alright, let's see. Still a few hours, so I'm gonna go ahead and fish again. So A. Alright. Well, now our fishing spot is really warming up, and this is the way it is in the game a lot. When you come by where you know, I killed my cow, but now I had a glut of meat, and then doing other things, you know, invariably you'll find another animal, or you know, you'll get a reindeer when you really need it, and then you'll get an elk or something else right after, and all of a sudden there's all this meat, and if you don't have the infrastructure, you know, you haven't put together a smoker, or you don't have a lot of cord or something, it can be really hard. Let me go ahead and hit pick up. We'll pick up our fish. Oh, and I shift plus to select them all in space. Alright, this cowhide has to be getting about ready in half an hour. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just hit, I'm going to just pass the time with minus. We'll let a half an hour go by, and then we'll be able to move on to the next step and get this task done. Ready shortly, so maybe just a little more than 30 minutes. 40 minutes. There we go, okay. So, we've picked it up, it's gone through the next stage of tanning. So we go back through the same keystrokes, Alt-H for tanning, or for hide working, excuse me, Alt-H for hide working and T for tanning. We select the cow. Okay, now it's going to tell us we need a couple of things to do the last step, which is to make the hide. We need a workbench or surface, and we need a beater. A rock, again, will work as a beater. It's a decent club. Since I made the club earlier on, and I didn't even go back to look after it finished, when I did the craft and I made the club, it was a fine club. So that's what I would use to beat my skin with, because it would give me the best uplift, even though it's a harsh skin, so it's going to be a harsh product pretty much no matter what you use. Since I don't have a table or a workbench, what you can use is, and I don't see a tree down, otherwise I would just drag a big tree trunk over there. I'll go ahead and cut down a tree, Alt-M for the Timbercraft, and then F to fell a tree. It'll automatically start with the one that I'm pointing right at. And we'll drop this big tree, which will give us a big tree trunk that we can use as our work surface. And I have to pass some time because I'm overly fatigued, and so I had to stop. But as I said, that's okay, because the game remembers. I could leave and come back, and it'll remember this tree and how much I chopped away from it. So we'll go ahead and pass some time. Our friend must be around again. And I'll just hit R to repeat, which was my last key sequence was to chop the tree. I hit space, and we drop the tree. And we'll move forward and step on the tree. It tells me I see it because I'm standing on it. I'm going to hit M to move it. It's going to ask me what do I want to move. I'm on the tree. I'm going to hit enter. Turn around toward the water. And now I'll move. And now you can move one tree trunk pretty good. I found that moving things gets a little bit quirky, or not, because you can move 4 tree trunks really fast, but you can't move 40 sticks really fast. And I guess that makes sense because sticks would kind of be going all over the place. But it seems like if the quantity of things you're moving is high, it really doesn't matter how much they weigh. In order to move all of those objects, it tends to consume a lot more time. Just a little side note there. I'm going to hit Q to open this hole. Q to drink, yes. And Q to drink, because I'm going to go ahead and take a drink. Okay, so now we have a tree trunk, water, the hide, and a club. So I'm going to do Alt H for hide working, T for tan, pick the cowhide. It's going to say, okay, these are all the things. And now this is generally a long process. With a cowhide, it might be less. But we'll go ahead and go. This is a task that can't be stopped and restarted, and so you can kind of power through. You see, we're already past 100 fatigue early on in the process. That can affect your product on the outside, but since we know this product's going to be bad anyway, I didn't worry about resting all the way back. And no, we don't want to stop for him. And so my point was that even though I was really we get really tired, or you get ready to drop, this task won't stop until it's done because it can't be restarted. If the game could restart it, it would stop you or knock you out and make you go to sleep, and you'd have to wake up and start again. So there are still some tasks that you can. It's kind of buggy, or it's kind of a bug, or it's kind of a feature. And I know they are talking about adding a lot more tasks that can be paused and restarted. No, I don't want to abort. And just about done, and then it will also complete that task for us on the hide working as soon as this finishes. Alright. So we finished our hide working by completing a hide. Now a bird would have gone much faster because it takes far less time to work the hide. But so we'll hit escape. It'll tell us our next task. Next task is setting a trap, which we've done. So if we go over here, oh, I guess I can't move because I'm totally tired. I'm going to take a drink with a Q, yes. I'm going to eat with E, yes. And I'm going to pick that cut that I already started. Ooh. Oh, another thing, as you start to eat the product that you cook, you'll notice that there's different values when you pick them up off the ground. You know, there might be five of one stack and 3 of another stack. As you eat them, it will qualify how they actually taste, because that's how it has them separated on the ground. You just don't know what they taste like. So like this one was obviously was bland, and these are not, otherwise it would have been together, and this one was with one other one. An escape to get out of that menu. I was just on the eat menu again to show you that. Alright, and actually I think with the trap time I might go ahead and end this video because it's just over a gig now. And we'll pick up the game tests on another video. Thank you.